today, we handed our budget to the City Council. This is the requirement of the city charter. Every April 1st, the mayor sends a budget to the City Council. The City Council then is the legislative branch. They are the appropriators. They will take our budget and they will do their work. As always, we've tried to make our budget process transparent. We've worked, we took on with my administration an invitation to the City Council and their staff to come up and work with us earlier in the process so that they and their staff have some idea about what we're doing as we craft the budget. We think that's important so that we have a situation where everybody kind of understands it going in. This year, like years past, we are sending down a budget that is balanced. It is structurally balanced. It prioritizes things that are important in our community, and I'll talk about those specifically as we go through today. And it is well crafted, and it gives our colleagues in the City Council a firm foundation to start from. And our staff, Jerry Romero and others who I'll mention in just a moment, as always, worked diligently. They were thoughtful. They listened to our policy objectives, and they got them on paper in a way that I think makes a lot of sense, and I'll tell you why that is. We have worked really hard, and we have had to make some difficult decisions since I've been the mayor, and the City Councilors have had to make some difficult decisions in order to make sure that our fiscal house is in order, and it is. And I think that this budget reflects that, and you'll see why in just a moment. The balance, as I said, is budget. The budget, as I said, is balanced. It is fiscally responsible, and it allows the city to continue to provide excellent services to our community and outstanding value to the taxpayers. And that's one of the things we talk about a lot. I want to make sure that those tax dollars are being given back to you, citizens, in a way that provides value and improves your lives. It's your money. We want to spend it wisely on your behalf. The general fund budget is proposed at $505 million. This is the fiscal year 16 budget. As you know, our budget year ends on June 30th. Our new budget year starts on July 1st. So currently we're in the 15 budget. We'll be in the 16 budget even in calendar year 15. The FY16 budget centers on the following priorities: public safety, critical infrastructure improvements, economic development and job creation, social services, including those in our community that need a helping hand, and for the fifth consecutive year, targeted salary increases for the city employees that go out there every day and work hard on our behalf. This budget represents less than a 1% increase in the budget over last year's budget. If you look at our budget trends over the past several years, we are trying to keep in line with inflation. We're trying to keep government growth within its means while providing valuable services to our community. Once again, we've been able to do that. The budget is intentionally designed to bolster opportunities and quality of life for our citizens. As I said earlier, it is structurally balanced, and it bolsters reserves again. So every year we try to increase our reserves in the city of Albuquerque. Right now we're going through interviews with our rating agencies, and we want to make sure that Albuquerque continues to have a significantly, a stout rating. That's important for a couple of things. It allows us to borrow money to do critical projects at much lower interest rates, and it basically speaks to the fiscal health of our community. And Lou Hoffman and his group and Jerry and others have done a good job. This budget includes no tax increases. It includes no fee increases. It has funding for a 1% wage increase for transit drivers, clerical, blue collar, and our J-Series employees. Those are a lot of the AFSCME unions. These are folks that swing a hammer, drive a bus, drive a truck, and are out there doing work in our community, from a blue collar standpoint. It also has dollars in there. It reserves the same equivalent that we had last year for a potential 1% raise for our firefighters. Our fire contract recently came to fruition. Rob Perry and our negotiation team are working with fire right now, so there's room in there for 1%. From the APD standpoint, there is $1.7 million. So if you take that from a percentage standpoint, it's about 2.1% for additional funds to APD for additional compensation. We try to be very flexible with the 1% when we talk about that. We, if the bargaining units want to take that 1% and distribute it equally amongst their members, we negotiate that. If they want to do more targeted, that's certainly up for discussion. With APD, the $1.7 million is being sent down in the budget specifically for longevity. That doesn't necessarily mean rank. We want to keep our officers that have been with the department for a long period of time on the force. We need the experience on the front lines of police work. We need the experience in management. And we were unable to get what we needed from the legislature this year for a return to work bill. And so there's now $1.7 million for retention and longevity bonuses. So we're going to be a little bit more targeted, but there is dollars in the budget for APD. Public safety, there's $4.7 million in this budget to help implement both reforms from the DOJ settlement and also other reforms that are being contemplated and implemented by Chief Eden and his leadership staff. Those areas of focus include recruitment, crisis intervention, misconduct, complaint investigations, training, development of policies and procedures, community engagement and oversight, all of those things being important to our community and to public safety. There are no cuts in this year's budget to social service programs. There's $17.9 million to fund programs, some that have been around for years and some that were started under my administration, including Heading Home, which is our homelessness initiative for the chronically homeless, Homework Diner, which is helping our APS students get their homework done, solve food insecurity for their families. Been a tremendously successful program, lots of national attention. Running Start for Careers, where we've run hundreds of kids through this program, connect them to industry-taught training. We have, I think, a 99 or 98% graduation rate with those students that are participating in Running Start for Careers. Our International Baccalaureate program, to make sure that any student in our city who has the gumption and the ability to go through an IB program doesn't run up against the hurdle of the kind of expensive testing fees that go with that. So once again, no reductions for social service programs. We've also had, quality of life and events are important to our city. We have everything from Albuquerque to flamenco to Cesar Chavez Day to MLK, you name it. We've got a number of programs to the New Mexico Philharmonic, where we expose children to symphonic music. Lots of things that are important to me as a mayor, important to our councilors. That funding is basically the same as it was last year. There will be no requirement for the councilors to have to put anything like that back in the budget. So quality of life is there as well. One of the most important things for me as a mayor is that we take care of our built environment. As many of you know, when the city decided in 2004, 2007, and 2009 to take what is now $48 million a year approximately of your property taxes and shift them away from our capital bonding program into the operations in order to grow government, that was a mistake, in my opinion. And now we have a bond program at the city of Albuquerque that is frankly half of what it needs to be. And that's long range. The city might look great by the time I walk out the door, but we want to make sure that the next mayor, the next administration, and future generations don't have a city that slowly declines because that bond program isn't high enough. So each and every year I've done some kind of what I call a mill shift. Take some of that money that was put into operations and shift it back where it belongs, into the built environment. The first year we did $3 million. That's how we got Paseo and I-25 built. Last year, the money that was shifted is being used for a $36 million bond program that includes the sports facility on the west side. It includes $10 million or so. The council will decide, frankly, on Monday where that money will be spent. But for closing fund, for economic development, some of that money will be targeted towards the ART line, Albuquerque Rapid Transit, the bus rapid transit, critical infrastructure projects, smart public sector investments that drive private sector investments and the like. This year it's smaller, but it's still there. We have another $300,000 in this year's budget, thereabouts $360, I believe, to allow that $36 million to go up to $42. That will allow several of our councilors to do projects that are critical for them. In Councilor Pena's district, it's a visitor center on West Central. Councilor Garduno's district, it's a library in the International District. Councilor Harris, I think it's a sports facilities up in District 9. So we're trying to get out there and get the built environment done. In addition to that, the new mill shift has enough money to bond an additional $9 million this year. And I know that the councilors will have a say and certainly an opinion of where that should go. I'm recommending that goes straight to street and road repairs. There's not a neighborhood in this town that doesn't have a pothole or a crack in the road or something that needs to be done, whether it's from signage. Maybe they'd be interested in medians. Everybody likes median improvements, but something in all 9 districts to allow for basic bread and butter road repair type projects. They will make their decision on whether that's what they want to do with it or not, but that is in there as well. So we've got a program that has Additional reserves, once again, we're up to $1 million now in additional reserves for the city. We think that matters. And then we've got some one-time funding for some other things in the budget. But another benefit for our city employees in this year's budget is we had no increase in healthcare costs. When's the last time you heard that? Well, I attribute that to a couple of things. It's it's millions of dollars in savings. We've made a concerted effort to make sure that our workforce is as healthy as they can be, from our Step It Up program to the Presbyterian bus that goes around and will do immunizations and check our employees at their place of work so they don't have to take time off and go to the doctor. Health programs, blood sugar, diabetes, smoking cessation, all of these things we're trying to build a healthier, more productive workforce, and because of that our experience modifiers are lower and our premiums stayed flat, and they stayed flat without any increase in deductibles or benefits to our employees, either from dental, vision, or medical, and that's a big deal for our employees, and it saves taxpayers money. So once again, we've been working hard to make sure that we're returning that value. I think it's a well-rounded budget. I think it's a budget that focuses on the basic priorities in our city. It's about good government, and it's about making sure that we're doing for our constituents, the taxpayers, what we think that they want done, and that is a city that's wonderful to live in, a city that's safe, a city where there's opportunity, a city where we celebrate that diversity and are able to do it in a way that's very public from a festival type standpoint and other things. And so I'm proud of my team. Lou Hoffman is here. Lou is in the back. Jerry, where did Jerry go? Jerry's here to answer any, if you got some real specific questions, he's here. Our entire budget staff, these folks work a lot of long hours. I'm a taskmaster on budgets, and they step up every year to try to craft something that makes sense so that now the legislative branch can do their work. And look forward to seeing what they come up with. It'll come back to my office, and then we'll make decisions and see what they do, what changes they make, and hopefully, like in years past, we'll be fairly well aligned, and we won't have a lot of, changes to make. But we respect the fact that they're the appropriators, and we'll see what they do. Yeah, Dan.
Economic development cut by 5%.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the one thing I missed, and I've missed it every time I've talked so far. There is the $1 million extra in this year's budget, like we did last year, for economic development. So Gary Opedal and his group at our economic development department last year, we bolstered the economic development budget by $1 million. From a percentage standpoint, that's significant. If you look at the economic development budget, there's some things like parking and other things in there that aren't traditional economic development activities. But if you look at traditional activities, we almost doubled the budget for that last year. That $1 million continues in this year's budget.